The mother, the father, the child, the stranger.
He's going to harm us. It's Ivy he's after.
So this trailer lied to me. I was in the Human Film Archives digging for a horror movie because the HFA's horror section is in desperate need of auditing, because you guys like to make a lot of garbage that I have to trim so the archives aren't full of crap like this, or this, or this. I came in expecting a horror movie with weirdo side characters similar to hide and seek. My audit report is gonna be late on that one. Literally, I just wanted the "this guy is fucking crazy and the parents have to keep their daughter safe" plot. But instead, I was given a movie made by someone who took a single semester of Intro to World Spirituality. This movie was like surface deep in a way that is so unique to human beings. So you guys should be proud, I guess. Congrats. Audrey Rose is a psychological horror drama film from 1977, directed by the same guy who co-directed West Side Story. How he went from this to that? No clue. The film follows a family who's creeped on by this guy who thinks their daughter is a reincarnation of his own that died in a car crash. It sounds scary, right? Like we could have some creepy shots, some high-tension scenes? Well, we kinda do, but not enough to call this a horror movie. I want you to guess what movie I know this guy from. Guess? I'll give you a couple seconds. No, you're wrong. Actually don't know this actor at all. I only recognize his face from these DVD covers, not even from the movies. I have seen these movies. I kept saying that this guy was from Supernatural and that he looked like a slightly altered Simon Pegg, which isn't even a bit correct. But I don't care. I don't ever remember actors or movies, hence why I have to record my audit reports instead of writing them down like all the other HFA staff. Anthony Hopkins is our creepy villainous guy claiming reincarnation and asking to spend time with this little girl he thinks is his own daughter. I agree with what most people say. This movie is confusing in how it handles spirituality and philosophy, mixing what I guess is Hinduism with pieces of other religions and spiritualities that don't make sense together. For Hinduism, I don't think that you remember your past. I may be wrong, but even if you do remember your past, I'm like 100% sure it's not in this nightmarish way that they have in the movie. But the movie says, fuck that, she's possessed. Hell yeah. So cool, so cool, so cool. I normally don't even complain when films decide not to spell things out. That's a treat for me. I get to sit down after the movie, go on YouTube, and look at a bunch of millennials who are way cooler than me and let them explain to me what the fuck I just watched. But if you're going to mention Dibukes and reincarnation and not have it matter in the end, I expect a small explanation at least so that the plot feels somewhat resolved. The explanation they have at the end is very sad ending, but through reincarnation, we can all find peace. Absolutely not. If this is what you think reincarnation is, that is fucking horrifying. Let me explain the movie so that someone can help me understand. Spoilers ahead. If you don't want a confused rundown, go ask another HFA staff member. So this movie starts out in Pennsylvania with a car crash that I was way too distracted to see. There's this lump on the side of the road that I thought was going to run out and cause the crash, but instead, it's this car. Watching this felt like I was watching that car driving on a road jump scare video, so the crash caught me completely off guard. Great start to the film, but the film does not keep this energy. Then we see the car flip, we see it fire. Okay, from there we cut to New York City where we see the world's most annoying Manhattan family. Look at these fuckers. They're just riding bikes and laughing, enjoying Central Park like it didn't used to be a neighborhood. Of course these fuckers live in Central Park West. I literally recognized this place the moment they left the park. Anyway, we see who I thought was going to be our number one hater, Anthony Hopkins, watching the main characters living their rich Manhattan dreams. He unfortunately is not mean mugging them, and is instead just stalking them, which, PSA, not cool. After that creepy start, we are introduced to our perfect, rich, living in Manhattan family. Our main characters are the Templetons, Bill, Janice, and their daughter Ivy. Ivy looks just like every child from all the recent set-in-the-past horror movies rolled into one. Big eyes, innocent face, middle part, bangs, the works. Bill is our classic hardworking father and good dad combo, which tells you he will be the villain of this film for wanting his life to continue as normal. And Janice is bad at photography. I don't think you're supposed to handle film developer by hand, but more than that, all of the photos of her daughter look demented, which is why I was like, oh hell yeah, possessed demon child, I'm so down. Wrong. Ivy is just a normal 11-year-old girl who gets screwed over in this movie. What happens in this movie is not her or her parents' fault. But whoever is in charge of reincarnation doesn't care, so why should I? We jump into the daily lives of the Templetons, starting with Janice picking up Ivy from school. Janice sees Anthony Hopkins' character Elliot Hoover outside of school waiting for the students to come out. She's obviously weirded out because she doesn't recognize him, and it only gets worse when she meets Ivy. They start walking home, and this fucker follows them. This is the moment I realized I really needed to suspend my disbelief as a former New Yorker. Because what do you mean you didn't turn around and make a scene? You didn't confront him, scream, or even ask someone for help? She just turns and stares like that's gonna work on this creep. And then she goes to her expensive New York apartment and only locks the chain lock. Like, huh? You have a kid and you only decided to lock the chain lock after being stalked? Have you not lived in a city before? Whatever. This gives us a door jingling fake out, which of course turns out to be the husband, Bill, coming home from work. Then we get some more "we're the perfect family" scenes and find out that Ivy's birthday is in 4 days, which apparently her parents know is a very tedious time of year, but they literally don't act in any way that would show us, the audience, what they're worried about. We start to see hints that something is wrong with Ivy. She does the Theodore from Meet the Wolfman and whimpers until her mother hears it in this big-ass house and comes up and wakes her up. After which she says she can't remember anything. How strange, I thought. After this, we see more strange behavior, Ivy staring up at the ceiling, blah blah blah, and we get another stalking scene. But no one at the school is telling this guy to scram, which makes me believe a little more that this is in fact New York, where everyone just minds their own business. Through a voiceover, we find out that Bill has superpowers because somehow he's able to see Elliot's eye color from a distance when he's recounting details to the NYPD. The same NYPD who does nothing to help, surprising no one, but apparently Bill and Janice.
What does it take to get you guys to do something?
Look, Mr. Templeton, I'm sorry, but there's no law that says that people can't be on the city streets wherever and whenever they'd like to be.
Of course, the cops won't help until there's been a murder or an assault. It's not like it's their job to keep people safe. Something, police are a crime deterrent, trust me, blah, 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 blah. They're not gonna get help in this movie. After realizing they have to let themselves get stalked until something bigger happens, they endure Elliot being a creep. He calls to check in on Ivy when she stays home from school. How did he get their number, you ask? We never find out. He's omnipotent. Either that, or the yellow pages were just that scary. Elliot follows the dad and sneaks a present for Ivy into his grocery bag, which she is excited to find. He even sends the Templetons a newspaper clipping of his credentials to seem less creepy. Opposite effect, in my humble opinion. They find out that he's British, moved to Pittsburgh, and has a wife and daughter. Actually, past tense, both his wife and daughter had plant names and died. And guess whose name is also a plant? Exactly. She's gonna die. Janice is supposed to pick Ivy up, and out of nowhere this bitch is just chilling on the street surrounded by people arguing. Turns out she got hit by a car. Maybe. We never find out for sure. But the people around her are talking about getting her an ambulance for some reason, as if Mount Sinai isn't every couple of blocks in Manhattan. More than that, she can definitely walk this off. Take some Robitussin and go get your daughter. Janice realizes that she's late for picking up Ivy, so she takes a taxi and runs around the school looking for her. Just kidding, I'm being generous. She runs into the building, checks one room, and leaves, which is great parenting. But also, doesn't the school have a fucking phone number? Are there no staff in the building after 4? Apparently school employees just let Ivy walk out. This school is crazy. You let a girl walk out with someone who isn't a registered guardian? Like, I mean, to be fair, I guess she's definitely old enough to walk home, plus she doesn't live that far from her school. But still, Janice thinks she sees Ivy. I don't know if it's a concussion or what, but this isn't Ivy. And no, it's not ever explained who that is. Suddenly, of course, Elliot appears and tells Janice that he helped Ivy into the lobby of some building. And this is where I was like, oh yeah, he's fun crazy. This is great, because this is some serial killer taunting the victim's family type shit. Let's just wait. Because it's not. Janice finds Ivy and walks her home before shaking the shit out of her. Careful. The NYPD could definitely get you for that. I have no clue why Janice didn't teach Ivy about stranger danger in a city with over 8 million people. Maybe this is what being rich in New York is like, but get it together. You know big cities aren't safe for kids to leave with strangers. Anyway, Elliot calls Bill and Janice to meet for dinner. This omnipotent character is not an evil spirit, just a guy who always appears in random places and knows literally everything. So, he tells them to have one of their friends, who he mentions by name, mind you, to watch Ivy so she's not left alone while they're at dinner. The Templetons meet Elliot at a restaurant, but it's a movie, so no one eats, of course, and he tells them all about his life. So basically he's stalking them because a psychic said, your daughter is alive and actually in New York City. Anyway, remember that time you kicked a ball when you were 5 years old? Good times, good time. And he believes them, and then goes to see another psychic in New York one day, and that psychic says, yeah, her parents actually live in Central Park West. She goes to this school, has brown hair, bangs, big ol' eyes. She's about 4 or 5, looks nothing like your daughter, and she's 11. Anyway, do you want to know anything about your dead wife? But he just runs away and starts stalking this family instead. I just gotta say, fuck that psychic, because you know this man isn't able to move on, so you give him all the details of some random girl so he can stalk her? You deserve to go to jail. Unfortunately, that psychic is dead, and Elliot doesn't know where the previous psychic is, and it doesn't matter because Ivy is having another nightmare. But she's completely fine when she wakes up. Bill idles with a teacup until it's time for the "let's stay strong together" talk, and they decide to just have Ivy see her doctor again instead of worrying about her nightmares. After this, Bill goes to talk to his messy lawyer best friend, who is here to talk about debuts and introduce that spirituality can make people believe things. Insightful. He basically mentors the skeptic into believing, but it doesn't even really matter. This is only mentioned once, and it's not what this movie is saying is happening anyway, so who cares? The lawyer tells Bill to invite Elliot over to his house because the lawyer is messy as hell, and Bill does, and hits him with some prepared questions while the lawyer friend sneakily listens upstairs. We find out that Elliot truly is a white British guy, because he basically says, India sucks, and then people are simple, but the spiritualism's kinda hot, so I'ma steal it. When he said he lived in India, I literally wrote in my notes, oh, brother. Also, I don't know how the fuck Elliot was able to, from the little information the psychic gave him, find out Ivy's birth time and everything. He's literally doing crimes to stalk this family, but the movie is ignoring it. While they're talking downstairs, Ivy sleepwalks. I definitely thought she was awake here, but she's not. And when Elliot says the name Audrey Rose loud enough for her to hear, she screams, scaring the shit out of our messy lawyer. Then she freaks out in a trance and is spinning around the room and beating on things like she's in a burning car, which is horrifying. Everyone comes into the room and watches her touch a window that burns her hands as if she's actually in a burning car. So this isn't just reincarnation. This is a possession, and Audrey Rose is a demon harming Ivy, right? Wrong. How dare you make that assumption? It's so dumb. Elliot starts yelling Audrey Rose over and over in what I have written down as a before its time bad Donald Trump impression, and keeps calling himself Daddy and Dada.
Daddy. It's Daddy. Yes, it's Daddy. Come on, honey. Yes, come on. Come on, it's all right. It's Dada. Daddy. That's, come on. It's Daddy.
But it works, and Ivy goes into his arms and calms down immediately. Elliot expositions the car accident, and Janice is torn watching him calm her daughter down, because of course she is. This guy told a sad story and helped her kids stop screaming. Then Elliot is like, you see, I'm not a creep, and then puts Ivy down in bed. Immediately after that, he gets his shit rocked by Bill, because of course, Bill is our only rational character. Elliot scrambles away, leaving Janice and Bill arguing about how Ivy burned her hand. Bill says it was the radiator, Janice doesn't believe it, but they tell Ivy anyway that it was just the radiator. We learn here that Ivy always has nightmares every year around her birthday, which is why I don't think this shit makes any sense. So she always has nightmares leading up to her birthday. You have a doctor who knows this, but you're treating these nightmares like something you've never experienced. This happens every year. She's 11. You've had so many years of this happening, and yet you're still confused? You know what's going to happen on her birthday. Maybe give her heavy sleeping medicine, get her treated for sleepwalking, tie her down, something. You guys are so neglectful despite having all of this damn money to treat your kid. At this point, I think Elliot would probably be the better parent. Moving on, Elliot keeps calling to check on Ivy, so the parents have to leave the phones off the hook, but they're rich, so they have so many phones that he just keeps calling. Janice covers the windows to keep Ivy from burning her hands again, but it doesn't really matter because she has another nightmare and goes fucking ballistic. She's literally tearing through shit, screaming, flailing, falling down the stairs, which I do have a question about. Don't boo me, but if Audrey was in the car burning to death, she should not be running around like this, because she wasn't doing that in death, right? Listen, I know I'm talking about a child dying in a fire in Minecraft, but work with me. She shouldn't be doing all this running around. She was buckled in. Well, it was the 70s, so like maybe not, but she wasn't running in the car. You could have had her just squirming around and stuff, right? Because there's no stairs in the car. Of course, Elliot is downstairs waiting to be buzzed up, and he comes in and helps Ivy by calling himself Daddy.
It's Daddy. It's Daddy. It's Daddy. It's Daddy.
Anyway, Janice is praying and says the title of that one Tyler Perry movie, and Elliot helps her and somehow knows where she keeps her bowls and rags in this big-ass house, and he cleans her knees and Ivy's bloody head, whatever. He says Ivy is in danger. How does he know that? No fucking clue. She's literally survived a decade of birthdays without any issue. Who's to say that if Elliot stayed away, she wouldn't have been completely fine? What the fuck is the source for this assumption? I forgot. He knows all. And he said, because his daughter died early, blah, 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 misinterpretation of reincarnation, blah, 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 Hindu beliefs, blah, 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 her soul is trying to steal Ivy's body until something karma. And Janice is like, what do you even want from me? Literally, she's at her wit's end because this British guy is lecturing her about Hinduism. His response? We gotta be one big family full of love. And I gotta stay close to this child and pray for her, which, of course, he doesn't explain that by prayer he means Hindu prayers of spiritual guidance, but it doesn't matter. I promise you, it does not matter. Then he says, we're both a part of this child, which, not true. Okay, you weren't in the room where it happened. This one isn't yours. Go away. Regardless, he's being real manipulative to this emotionally distressed mother and then leaves, just in time to be seen by Bill, who is rightfully like, what the fuck? You let him in? And Janice, instead of apologizing, explaining, literally anything mature adults would do, makes it a you're never home argument. Not to belittle her point, but my man works a 9 to 5, not a 9 to 9, and only sometimes has client dinners. You expect him to be home 24/7 and still be able to afford this Manhattan mansion? But if we think about Ivy's nightmares happening every birthday, why doesn't he just take sick leave or use vacation days around her birthday to be able to help at home? That would be such an easy decision. As I've said before, bad parents. Whatever, Ivy has another nightmare, and Elliot is already there to help. Unfortunately for him, Bill is home for once, and he fights Elliot immediately. After getting his shit rocked the first time, apparently Elliot took some fighting lessons because now he's able to beat Bill's ass. I'm sure they'd try to say it's because he lived in India or something, learning the ways of kung fu or some shit, but like, I'm not even sure that would make this whisper of a man able to fight Bill. Anyway, Janice, mother of the year 1977, lets Elliot in, and when she comes out to check on Bill with everyone else on this floor, Elliot locks the door behind her, so she can't come back in. Which is why I said that he's just crazy, but the movie doesn't want you to think that. Elliot slips out of the apartment using a service entrance that no one thought to check, and he's just gone. Until someone finally says, oh, that's the new tenant on the 8th floor. And they all run up to the 8th floor with police and demand that Elliot open the door, and he's like, nah, I'm good. The police ask if he has a kid in there, and he says, yeah, but she's just chilling. That's my daughter. I gotta say, they have more restraint than me, because I immediately not only would have broken down the door, but also beaten him to death, because what are you saying? Elliot gets arrested, and now there's a case against him where he has to prove reincarnation in a court to not be charged with attempted kidnapping. We see the court case, which is 4 months later, which tells us Ivy would be fine if he just left her alone, and that this is something she can just let happen and keep on going with her life. They bring a spiritual leader to explain karma and reincarnation and some shit, which he whitewashes and says, no. We don't hate anyone in India because we're all going to reincarnate, so we always respect each other. As if India doesn't have colorism, class issues, and femicide problems just like every other spiritual place in the world. Ivy's been moved to an all-girls Catholic school where she gets bullied because her case is nationwide news. And of course, the sisters do nothing about it. Janice comes to visit the school and Ivy admits that she also thinks she's a freak, so Janice explains the case to her and says, Elliot is just lonely, which, I think that's a terrible explanation of why this grown man tried to kidnap your daughter, but what do I know? I'm not a parent. After hearing this from her mom, Ivy wonders if reincarnation is real and says it'd be wonderful to live forever in that creepy, insightful child way. Then in the middle of the night, her mother catches her chanting Audrey Rose in the mirror trying to get a response, which is creepy, but I will not blame this child. She wants to see for herself if Audrey is real. So, not gonna blame her for this. Back in court, Elliot calls the lady who caused the car accident to the stand. We've never heard of her, never seen her, nothing, so I assume that she died. But no, she recounts the car accident and describes seeing Audrey burn alive, which is traumatic, and of course it makes Janice emotional. While this is happening, the girls' school is burning a snowman in some ritual, which is very normal and not at all weird. And Ivy then crawls into the fire, which doesn't make any fucking sense, of course, because why would she do that? Ivy later says that she didn't know what happened, which means it was Audrey, which means that Audrey is trying to kill her. 5-year-old Audrey Rose is trying to burn alive for the second time. For what purpose? Could anyone offer an explanation for this? Because I don't have one. I was far too tired of rationalizing this film by this point, so I just nodded and kept watching. Bill is mad, and he's blaming the sisters because, yeah, what the fuck are you doing? Why is a Catholic school basically doing Burning Man? Back to the courtroom, this evil fuck whips around to look at Janice all dramatically like a snide bitch, and he wants her called up to the stand to defend him. And she does, of course. Janice recounts exactly what happened the night Ivy fell down the stairs and says that she believes in reincarnation now, and that Elliot needs to be released in order to help her daughter. What she thinks he can do, we do not know. I just know if I was Bill, listening to this cretin side with the criminal in this case, I'd be pissed. And he is, because his wife is entirely cuckoo fucking bananas at this point. Janice and Bill go their separate ways, and Bill requests a hypnosis to see if Ivy can regress, which I don't know why he wants that or how that would be helpful or allowed in court, because it seems like it has a higher chance of proving that Elliot is right more than him. Anyway, it's allowed, and Janice finds out very late that it's going to happen. She runs to the hospital where the hypnosis will happen and tries to take Ivy away, but Ivy wants to do the hypnosis because she wants to know if she's crazy or not, which is fine. But Janice, for some reason, thinks it's dangerous. Why? We have no clue. Why would regression be harmful? It should just give Audrey the chance to make peace, shouldn't it? Wouldn't that make the most sense for like a non-demonic entity to not kill someone? Anyway, the psychiatrist introduces hypnosis and life regression to the audience. Yes, the audience. Not the jurors, because the jurors are in another room watching it on TV. The psychiatrist hypnotizes Ivy and starts to regress with her. I'll skip a lot of it because it's a bunch of acting like a baby, which makes me cringe. Then she regresses back to Audrey Rose and is replaying her final moments right up to the crash.
When I count to 3, you'll be even farther back in time.
She's not Ivy.
Yeah, it's kind of horrific. She's screaming and burning alive and choking and banging on the windows, and Elliot, who I did not expect to be allowed in this room, is calling out to her through the one-way glass and screams, "It's Donna!" But she can't hear him, and they won't let him leave the room for some reason. So he grabs a chair. Whoever is in charge of security for this room, they suck. And he smashes the glass, but it's too late. Ivy's dead. Yeah, you heard me. Audrey fucking died a second time burning alive. I thought Ivy would come back to life because the actress's eyes twitched a bit, but I was wrong. They killed her, which is crazy because now there are 2 souls that died too early, right? Because according to our all-knowing Elliot, when spirits die too early, they get restless and something go into someone else's body because they haven't fulfilled their life, right? I don't know what's going on because none of it makes any sense. Elliot says her soul is free, but absolutely not, because whose soul is free? Audrey died again without living a full life, and Ivy also didn't get to live out her life. The movie ends showing pictures of the child actress, and Janice is reading a letter she's writing sideways. I have never seen someone write like this, but whatever. She's writing to Elliot about his return to India, and she also says that she's sending Ivy's ashes, which, why? She and Bill both agreed to do it, and she says, only after feeling free can Ivy reincarnate and be happy. So does this imply that Audrey is fine after killing Ivy and dying in her body? So is only Ivy suffering now? Is she going to be reborn into some other child's body, recreating her final moments every time it's the other child's birthday? Who fucking knows? Nothing is explained. Yay. What I've seen about this movie says that it aimed to discuss bonds between family, life and death, varying spiritual beliefs through realism. A crazy idea. But I don't think a horror movie needs to discuss that many topics. If it wanted to discuss family bonds, why not focus on how Bill is trying to help and how Hoover is desperately longing for his daughter? And his wife, by the way, who also died, but apparently fuck that bitch. Why not make Hoover seem like a loving, empathetic dad to Ivy and play up Bill as the never-there dad? If this is about spiritualism, explore that more. What does the Catholic Church say is wrong with your daughter? Use the Debyuk as more than just a throwaway line. We're literally told Debyuks are evil. So is Audrey evil? Or is she just suffering like Elliot says? Literally, I just wanted a movie about a crazy widower stalking a random family and putting them in danger, not a failed found family paranormal movie. I think this is an incredibly muddled exploration of spiritualism with mixed up genres, but it isn't horrid. Like, the acting wasn't bad, the ideas were there, which is why I'm going to just reclass this movie as a drama and remove it from the horror archive. It can stay in the human film archives, but it's not staying in the horror section. This is a paranormal psychological drama, and that's it. Let me know if you have a better explanation for whatever is going on in this movie, or if you have any suggestions for other movies I should remove from the human film archives, leave them below. Okay, see you next time. Bye.